Good morning. My name is Sujit Roy. I'm a field application engineer for EDA Direct. We are a channel solution partner for Clearsoft, and they develop a product called Visual Design Diff, which I'll be talking about today. So what I'd like to talk about also is what we've been hearing from our engineers and what are they trying to solve. So they're really looking for an easier method to identify changes in designs. And some of the problem and pain points is how do they identify, for example, ECO changes between schematics or layouts before checking in. Currently, there are no real easy ways to explore design changes. And they're also looking for a seamless way of working within the Cadence Virtuoso environment. We've also had requests that the product should be independent from any data management tool. And what I mean by that is Clearsoft is very big into the data management tool. They have a product called SOS, but it can work with anything. You don't have to have Clearsoft's tool. And the desired outcome is really to reduce the design cycle time from weeks down to days. A typical example that we see. It's a case of spot the difference between the designs. And I'm sure as children, you've had these two photographs that you said, okay, spot the 10 differences and you get a prize. This is what we see our engineers doing something similar. So, when you're at the age of 10 or 20 or 30, you're still doing the same thing. But what I'm going to show you today, this morning, is a very clean way to perform differences between either two layouts or two schematics. And this is what we're going to see. So this tool, the Visual Design Diff tool, works seamlessly within the Virtuoso environment. And after it performs a diff, the tool, it's an electrically differencing tool, unlike some of the other tools that are sort of doing a comparison by schematics or layouts. The Visual Design Diff tool doesn't electrically compare between two schematics or two layouts. And as you can see here, if something is mentioned in green, as you can see, an object has been added. And if it is highlighted in purple, then we can see that an object has been removed. And if it's a light green that's highlighted, then a particular property has changed. And this is what I'm going to be showing you today. So what is Visual Design Diff? Well, it has the ability to compare two revisions of a cell view, that be it a schematic or a layout. And as shown in the previous slide, the differences are highlighted graphically. The tool can also do a hierarchical compare in both layout and the schematic. And if there, for example, there are options to ignore cosmetic differences or property changes, and I'll step through that. And the way the tool does it is it lists the changes, and you have the ability to step through the differences in a menu. You can also save the differences to a file, be it a text file, a CSV format, and the like. And also it is invoked within the Virtuoso library manager. And as mentioned earlier, it's a DM. If you have a data management tool, some people do and are familiar with the Clearsoft tool, it works independently of a data management solution that you have. So what are the changes that are detected at the schematic level? It identifies nets, instance changes, labels, and instance properties, either if something has been added, deleted, or modified. And if we do the changes at the layout level, we have identified issues at the layer, the instance, the label, and the instance property. And again, if anything has been added, deleted, or moved or modified, and in some cases resized. So where are some of the scenarios that the Visual Design Diff may be used? So we have layout engineers trying to identify ECOs to schematics, quick review changes before design check-in, last minute design review changes. And in some cases, we've had engineers say, I want to identify changes between different tape outs. And also you may be trying to debug a regression run, what changed between the versions. So a little bit about Clearsoft, who develops the Visual Design Diff tool. They've been around since 1997, and they're based in Fremont, California. And currently, the products is used by more than 230 customers worldwide. And they are pioneers in their space, and they are exclusively distributed in the Americas by us at EDA Direct since 1997. Now, some of the customers who are currently using the tool, we have on the left box is companies who have adopted the tool at the enterprise level. They mandated that this product be used across the enterprise, be it in the company or the country. Then you have medium-sized companies such as Google, for example. They're a software company, but they do have a hardware division. And then there are smaller startups. So it's a very, very easy to adopt, easy to use tool, and it's very scalable. So to run Visual Design Diff, we invoke the library manager. And the example that I'd like to show is the AFE module. This was a module that was developed on the open calls. So first of all, I'd like to compare differences between the schematics. So I can invoke Visual Design Diff in two ways. I can right-click. There's an option down here called Diff. Also, I can do it from the Design Manager. So here we're doing the version compare. And we can see there's different versions, the original, the one I'd like to compare. So let's compare it to the one original that is in use compared to the one version 4. So here underneath I can check mark exclude new device properties, ignore. But let's compare schematics as they are. Click OK. And straight away what happens is we can visually see the differences. So as I had mentioned, the green implies some object was added, purple implies something was removed, and the light green implies something changed. So on the right-hand side, we can see the differences within this block. And at the very top, you can see the number 53. This implies that 53 changes were done at the schematic level. Now, what I want to point out is that this is an intelligent diff. We're actually going into the databases of the two designs and doing a compare. We're not doing like an overlay like some other tools out there. We are going into, again, we're going into the database to see the differences. So what I can do is I can scroll through the list. For example, net 073. This is highlighted. It blinked. It was added. And there's a little bit of details about this net in the window below. I can scroll through the list. In this particular case, something was modified. And again, the details say 2 wires were modified. So let's go ahead and see what was modified here. So to do that, you can click Next. And you can see now it says change 1 of 2. A wire was added to the net. Let's go to the next one. Change 2 of 2. A wire was removed from the net. So you can go through the whole list and see the different changes very easily. Now, if you're only interested in looking at changes between the nets, you can click on the net. Also, you have the ability to check the various filters and scroll through the same thing. Let's perform a difference between the layout. So again, you click on the layout, select diff. And what I'd like to do here is compare the version 4 to an initial revision. If you notice here, where the ignore cosmetic differences is grayed out, because at this level you definitely want to see all the changes. Also, I'd mentioned we have the ability to save the state. If you had worked on this design and you hadn't been able to get through the whole list, you can load a particular state. So again, just like before, we can see the differences highlighted in the various colors. You may want to dim all the layers so it's a little easier to see. And again, we can go through the individual differences in the layer, in the changes. So for example, here you can see something was added. Going down to the layer 5, we can see something was removed. There's 2 objects. So let's scroll through the next to see what the changes were. So you can see change 1 of 2. Something was removed. In this place, this change, something else was removed. So you sort of get the general idea of what Visual Design Diff can do very quickly. Now let's perform a hierarchical search through the schematic. So it'll go through the whole hierarchy of this cell. Again, I click diff. You enable the option compare hierarchy. So I want to compare the version that's taped out to the one that's in use. Click OK. Now, since we're doing a hierarchical search, the database does take a bit longer to go through the design. And again, you can see now the differences highlighted on the right-hand side going through the hierarchy. So for example, AFE top, in this case, there were 20 changes. At the add 8 mirror, there was 16. And then we can again go through the list. So in this case, 2 items were modified. We can skip through the changes. For example, change 1 of 1, user property was modified from one value to another. And then in this particular case, another change is another property value was changed. So this concludes this short presentation and video on ClearSoft's Visual Design Diff solution. If you'd like further information, please feel free to reach out to your account manager. Thank you.